Hear ye, gentle folk, the story of Robert the Devil, a tale of battle, banditry, and being a bit of a bastard. A wildly imaginative story, but was he even a real person? Stick around, let's find out. This is a tale of French origin that spreads across medieval Europe. It primarily pops up in prose around 1250, courtesy of Stephen of Bourbon, later appearing in popular storybooks and even in operatic form. In the Netherlands, Robert's story was a banned book, thanks to the Bishop of Antwerp. What could be so bad about Robert that gets his story banned? Are you sitting comfortably? I'll begin. It's the Middle Ages, and a fair Duchess of Normandy desires children. But nay, she is not blessed with Sprogs, despite her daily appeals and prayers to God. So, because God does not heed her, she instead beseeches the devil. It seemed like a great idea at the time, and the devil soon satisfies her wish. In the English version of the tale, the devil disguises himself as her husband to satiate her personally. And so she bears a son, and he is one hot little potato. Meet Robert the Devil. This guy is born to be bad. A tot that terrifies his nurse, biting her and tearing out her hair. And as a boy, bored by classes, he stabs his teachers. And at 20 years old, he becomes a bandit, a brigand who beats and burgles those who dare to traverse within his boundary. Not that this stops him from getting knighted. I guess they thought he'd grow out of it. But Sir Robert's behaviour only worsens. I mean, he's strong. There's no one stronger, and no one braver either, and ever so bloodthirsty, which makes him a pretty great warrior. Robert enters a tourney and beats and mercilessly murders 30 opponents. Unnecessary. You've already won, Robert. Killing your competitors is considered uncouth. Robert travels the world and slays the days away, and after his tour, Robert returns to his homeland to continue his banditry, robbing, burning, murdering, being uncool to women, and being an all-round bad guy. One day, Robert is in the abbey, cutting all the throats of the nuns, as you do, and it makes him think of his mother. Weird. So he decides it's time for a family visit. Upon seeing Robert approach, the Duchess's servants flee, like literally all off in different directions. Vases are dropped, cows are knocked over, and spinning wheels spin out. In that very moment, for the first time in his life, Robert realises that he inspires absolute horror in others. Really, Robert? Really? Not when you were slashing your childhood tutors? Not that time you needlessly slaughtered all your opponents at a tourney? Not when you were massacring a whole priory's worth of defenceless nuns? No, when some servants run away, Robert finally sees himself for the monster that he is. And he feels remorse. And he asks, why am I like this? It's because you're a massive arsehole, Robert. But Robert figures it must be someone else's fault, and he endeavours to solve this mystery. And so he goes to see his mother and threatens her with a drawn sword. You didn't think he was going to change that quickly, did you? The Duchess reveals that Robert is the son of the devil, and Robert is terrified and ashamed to learn this. But it's fair to say that Robert is of a proud and determined disposition, and he decides that instead of despairing, he will pursue redemption. He will conquer hell. And that starts with Robert conquering himself and his sinful nature. So off he pops to Rome, where he threatens the Pope with a drawn sword. No, not really, but it wouldn't have been that surprising, would it? Robert throws himself at the feet of the Pope, seeking the Holy Father's forgiveness. He humbles himself to a holy hermit, making his confession, which probably took quite a while. He submits himself to harsh penitence, and he swears, and this is the best bit, that henceforth he will taste no food that he has not first wrested from the jaws of a dog. Frankly, Robert, I don't fancy your chances against a hungry dog. Robert puts his natural skills to use and fights the Saracens who besiege Rome, and when he wins, he refuses any reward. He shuns any salary. He holds off on the honours. No imperial crown for Robert. No, keep your daughter the beautiful princess. Robert isn't into that sort of thing anymore. Instead, Robert goes to dwell with the holy hermit in the wilderness, and Robert dies a saint, a reformed rogue. So who was Robert the Devil? Was he a real person? There is a castle in Normandy that is associated with this tale, the Château de Robert Le Diable, also known as the Château de Molyneux. I'm not even going to try and pronounce that Frenchly because I know it makes people really mad in the comments. However, beyond the name, there doesn't seem to be a further link between the castle and an appropriate Robert whose history fits the story. Some say the story was based on Robert I, Duke of Normandy, and father of William the Conqueror. Robert I was also called Robert the Magnificent, and he was known to have quarrelled with the church during his reign, and later reconciled and died during a pilgrimage to Jerusalem. So that's a story of penitence that might fit. Others suspect the Robert of the legend is Robert of Bellamy, who was notorious for his sadistic cruelty towards his subjects and contempt for the church. Although it's worth bearing in mind that most history was written by priests and monks, and Robert of Bellamy wasn't into giving them any funds. But that Robert ended up dying whilst imprisoned by King Henry I, rather than finding redemption. Or perhaps the story is just based on a folk tale and is a religious allegory of sin and redemption. Who do you think Robert was? Tell me in the comments. Otherwise, how will I know that you exist? Do I exist? Do I only exist when you're watching a video? Do we both only truly exist in this shared moment?
Bacon.